Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Trying to figure out where to begin here. I mean, this is a conversation about trade-offs. Like any conversation about climate policy, it's a conversation about trade-offs. And we look at the IRA, which has been touted as this amazing thing, creating all these jobs and new investments. Well, of course, companies are going to take the subsidies and make the subsequent investments. As my colleague earlier pointed out, the true cost of those subsidies will end up being about $1.2 trillion because they are tax credits, which means they're not capped. So if more people take advantage of them, that's what will happen. There's an estimate of about $3 trillion in new investments, which is, of course, being cheered by radical environmentalists. $3 trillion of investments and reallocation of capital away from traditional baseload energy and towards unreliable sources of energy. And there will be increased prices as a result. One question I have, maybe you can answer this, Ms. Hughes-Cromwick, is you estimate a social cost of carbon, right? We attach a value to that, the social cost of carbon.
Yes.
Right. It's well established in the literature. Maybe people debate on what the actual cost is. But has anyone ever talk about a social cost of energy insecurity? What's the social cost of energy insecurity? Rolling blackouts, higher prices. Is there a social cost economically attached to that?
I will say that some of my analysis with regard to oil price volatility has impacted stability in the U.S. economy. We have been subject to OPEC Plus for many years, and they determine the marginal price of a barrel of oil. So while we have substantial oil and gas production here in the U.S., we are still subject to OPEC policy and procedures.
Okay.
Just today,
that's fine. I see you kind of figuring out how to divert the question there. All the more reason to produce more of it ourselves, I suppose, is what you're saying.
Even if we produce more, and
control the market more. Yeah, I agree. That's a foreign relations problem. I wish I could control them.
Marginal barrel price.
I would love to put them out of business. I guess we're on the same page there. There is a social cost of energy insecurity. It's a massive social cost. We felt it in Texas because 30% of our capacity is reliant on wind. There's been almost no investment in baseload energy, whether that's nuclear, coal, or gas, over the last couple of decades. Plenty of investment, subsidized investment into wind, which doesn't work all that well in inclement weather. The irony of all this is that we're so concerned about extreme weather, and yet we want to invest trillions more dollars into weather-dependent energy sources. I'm just trying to figure out if any of this makes any sense. I mean, let's look at the total EV subsidies in the IRA. Almost $400 billion when you actually account for probably what's going to happen in the next 10 years. Again, let's just talk about it in terms of cost-benefit. 16% of U.S. emissions are derived from passenger vehicles. Do we actually think that if we gave everyone an electric vehicle, that 60% would even disappear? No. You're going to say yes?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I kind of want to see what you'll say. Sure.
Yeah. We have other segments of transportation, and when we total up all transportation sectors, including medium and heavy-duty vehicles, it accounts for about a third of total emissions, and therefore...
Right. I said passenger vehicles in particular. I didn't ask you that question at all. So, because we're talking about subsidizing rich people so they can buy a Tesla. That's what we're talking about. And so 16% of passenger vehicles, 16% of emissions come from passenger vehicles. It's not even accurate to say that if we switch those out right now, that we would actually decrease emissions by 16% because they have to charge somewhere. They have to charge at a charging station that is powered by coal or gas, most likely. That ain't changing anytime soon because, physics is physics. And so we just have to question what the heck we're doing. And so even if we got rid of that 16%, what would it do to our climate in 100 years? Well, I can tell you, if the entirety of the OECD countries, all developed countries, stopped emitting tomorrow, we all went back into the Stone Age, you know how much we would reduce the temperature by the year 2100? 0.4 degrees Celsius. So what do we think this hundreds of billions of dollars of investment, what do we think it's going to do for our climate? This is just a cost-benefit question. And the answer is almost nothing. not almost, it's practically nothing. It's so close to nothing, it might as well not even be part of our calculus. $400 billion, how many nuclear plants could we build with that? I'll end there, Jeremy.
Quite a few, and that would be zero emission electricity that we could use to.
Is it reliable?
It's reliable. It's
Wow.
resilient.
What an investment that would be. I yield back.